What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully, you guys having a great day so far. In today's video, we got some balance changes coming as well in the next patch update 11.65, and that patch will be coming sometime next week, I believe, coming with the Fusion launch on July 1st. Don't quote me on that just yet, but it makes a lot of sense. July 1st. Anyways, like I said, we got some balance changes here. This time it's not 2 champions. This time it will be 3 champions. Without further ado, let's jump into this. First up, we have Searsha the Charred. So Searsha the Charred, let's take a quick look at what Player has to say about Searsha. So right here, so Searsha the Charred, the champion, this difficult to obtain deserves a kit that feels truly rewarding to use. So we start to address the areas that needed the most attention. A complete overhaul of our A2. Of course, we didn't stop there. We will also increase the consistency of our existing effects, adding new utility to her kit and grant her brand new speed aura in all battles. Wow, amazing. I'm actually very excited about this because Searsha is actually going to be coming into my account relatively soon. And these changes, they sound great. A speed in all battles aura sounds awesome. She is from the Sylvan Watchers, and this is her current form right now. Let's take a look at her rework. I'm going to put that on screen. All right, so let's go into the A1 Conflagrate. So after the buff, after the rebalance, she's going to be still a triple hit single target attack. It is now going to be a 50% chance of increasing the duration of any HP burns. Just checking her bookings here. So you have 15% additional debuff chance from the bookings. So now it's going to be a total of 60%, 65% after books, but it's on a triple hit. So the likelihood of you extending the duration of HP burns is very, very high. Each hit also has a 50% chance of decreasing the duration of a random buff on the target. If the target is under HP burn, the chance increases to 100%. All right. So the A1, it's a relatively small change. It's only a slight increase in the increasing duration of the HP burn. Again, improving the consistency. That's totally fine. Let's check out the A2 here, which they mentioned was heavily reworked. Forest Fire. So currently, it has a 100% chance when fully booked of landing HP burn on all enemies on a 3-turn cooldown. That's about it. Nothing too crazy about it. But now, after the rework, it is going to be also a strip. So there's going to be a remove all buffs from enemies. The 100% HP burn is still there. If the target is already under HP burn, instantly activates it. Then a 100% chance to place HP burn on all enemies without one. So now it becomes an place HP burn as well as an activator. So does this mean that if they're already under HP burn, it will activate and then reapply? That's kind of weird how I'm reading. Maybe that's how it is, but that seems real powerful. Also places block buffs on all enemies for 2 turns. Any HP burn debuffs placed on bosses are protected. That's pretty cool. So now she can be an HP burn champion, which helps you with Poison Cloud for Hydra, for example. Those HP burns cannot be cleansed off, and she places block buffs, which is again very good for Hydra. The HP burn activation could also be pretty good, again for Hydra, but it could also be pretty good for a couple different areas. It could even be a trial champion. It could even be helpful in Spider now. Very, very interesting. I mean, definitely a huge rework here. That's on a 3-turn cooldown, which is very, very good. An enemy strip, HP burn activator, block buffs, and then protected HP burn against bosses. Very, very, very cool. And it's a touchless ability, so affinity doesn't matter. So that's amazing. Let's check out the A3 here. Looks like a small change here, but it's going to be updated to attacks all enemies, has a 100% chance of placing big decreased speed and a decreased defense and hex. And this is going to be on a 4-turn cooldown. A bit of a shame that it's on a 4-turn cooldown. Imagine if they put this on a 3-turn cooldown. I would think that maybe would be a little bit too strong, but on a 4-turn cooldown, you're landing 3 solid debuffs, decreased speed, decreased defense, and hex. Previously, she did not have the guaranteed decreased defense and the hex application. The hex application was dependent on HP burn. Previously, just awful ability on a 4-turn cooldown. Now on a 4-turn cooldown, very, very nice, very reasonable. Let's check out the passive reworked here. Also, allies deal 10% more damage against enemies under HP burn debuffs. Doesn't necessarily need to be applied by her, which is great. And then she's just offering blanket damage boost. The percentage heal she receives and the heal that your allies Also receive from her passive have been increased a little bit. And she also has her percentage chance to instantly activate any HP burn debuffs on the attacker increased a little bit. So for 35 to 50. So not too crazy, but I'm really liking the allies deal 10% more damage. So she's going to offer a lot of utility. And then lastly, her aura, 19% speed in all battles. Amazing. That's just going to be great just for generic content. I'm really liking these updated changes. I mean, it just instantly makes her into a viable champion where you can actually use her and not feel bad about investing in this champion because she's going to be, basically overtaken by like epic champions, shortly after you finish booking her out. Now she's a very reasonable, probably really good legendary champion that you wouldn't feel bad about actually committing resources into. Lots of debuffs here. We got HP burn, decreased defense, decreased speed, and hex very reliably landing. Also block buffs. So she has 5 debuffs in her kit. Very good candidate here for Feral set, boosting the damage of, basically your whole team. And then she has a passive here that also boosts the damage of your whole team. So again, very, very good candidate for a 9-piece Feral set just for a support build. Amazing, amazing rework. Not going to make her OP in anything, but amazing rework to make her usable. Very happy to see this. Let's move on to the next champion that's getting reworked here. And that's going to be this guy, Dune Lord Greggor. So let's see what Playerm has to say about this. Once again, we have a Lord on our hands, and with that comes the important task of ensuring that his abilities live up to Ray's role standards. Not only will his Lordship provide powerful shield protection for his allies, but he will also become a constant nuisance for the enemy team thanks to his provoking abilities. With the stronger defensive tools and improved synergy for his faction, Greggor now stands as a true defense specialist and a worthy protector of his faction. Now, right away, like it's kind of cool to see, these faction unity champions get buffed, but honestly, I don't think a lot of people actually have faction unity champions, even though they've been in the game for, pretty good amount of time now. I think maybe like 2 years now. Personally speaking, I only have like, I think 1 or 2 on both my accounts and just not something I have a lot of. So it's kind of interesting that they would feel the need to buff Greggor here. I know I encountered Greggor, along the way in hard faction wars. So in some of those waves, it's actually quite, would pose more problems if he's actually really, really strong. So it's just something to keep in mind with. But yeah, let's check out this brand new kit here. Gonna put that up on screen. Gonna remove this. Let's check this guy out. So his A1 previously was just a single hit on a single enemy, and it has a 50% chance of placing provoke. And that books up to nothing, just 50% on a single hit. I mean, that's pretty weak A1. And that's going to get buffed into a 100% chance of landing provoke on the A1. Oh my. If the provoke debuff was successfully placed, the ally with the highest crit damage will team up and join the attack. Wow, what a buff to this A1. Previously, the A1 was just kind of like meh, pretty whatever. Like, especially when you compare this to like somebody like Wixwell. Wixwell has a double hit, 100% chance to land provoke against bosses. I mean, but now Greggor goes up to a 100% chance of landing provoke. And then he also teams up with an ally. Just crazy A1 now. Let's show his A2 here, Earth Cleave. So it's going to be an AoE. It's still an AoE attack. He's now going to remove all buffs from all enemies and increase the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. And he still places a shield on all enemies, and it's going to be proportional to his defense. Previously, it was proportional to his HP, and instead of just removing the buffs, it used to be a decreased duration by 1 turn. So that's a pretty big upgrade, right? You go from decreased duration by 1 turn to just a flat removal of the buffs. And then obviously scaling your shield off of your defense makes a lot of sense since he's a defense-based champion. So these are pretty solid upgrades to his A2. Let's check out his A3 here. So previously, places increase attack, increase accuracy on your whole team. Now it's going to be places increase attack, increase accuracy, and increase defense on your whole team. Okay, solid. And his faction unity bonuses will remain the same, so no changes there. And his A3 is on a 4-turn cooldown. So on a 4-turn cooldown, he lands 3 buffs, increase attack, increase defense, and increase accuracy. When you think about it, somebody like Mithrala, for example, does have an ability that places increased attack, increased defense, and she has a AoE attack with a hex on a 3-turn cooldown. So this ability on a 4-turn cooldown doesn't necessarily make it super busted, but obviously with the faction ally bonuses, it definitely can make it very strong, since it's also, you know, a cooldown reduction, turn meter fill, and potential for an instant turn. So having this be a 4-turn cooldown makes sense because it's just to balance out all the faction unity stuff. Okay, let's head to his passive here. So previously he had a 20% chance of placing provoke on the attacker for 1 turn when he is attacked. That's going to increase from 20% to 50%. Again, improving his consistency to just provoke you. And his faction unity or faction ally bonuses remain the same, except for the tier 3. So now they've added, when applying a debuff out of your turn or during instant or extra turns, instant effects and debuffs placed by ally skills cannot be resisted or blocked. So that used to be only happening when counterattacking. Now it's basically any debuff out of turn or instant effect or extra turn. So they've increased the conditional effects for the tier 3 faction ally bonus, which again just makes it a little bit more consistent so that you can get your irresistible and unblockable debuffs and effects happening. His ally defense in all battle aura increases from 25% to 30%. Overall, I think his A1 got a massive buff going from 50% to 100%. That's just going to make him super annoying. His duration decrease on his A2 becomes a remove buff, which again, just makes him way more powerful. And he gained a whole new buff on his A3. So now it's going to be increased attack, increased defense, and increased accuracy instead of just increased attack and increased accuracy. Overall, solid buffs. Nothing broken though, I think. His A1 got a big boost, but the rest of his kit, I think, was minor tweaking. Again, just to make him a little bit more consistent at providing support, at providing control. It's a solid balance. I think they have to be careful about these faction unity champions, not make them too busted, but make them good enough that people want to use them. So I think this is a good buff overall. Lastly, let's go to the last champion on the rebalance sheet here, and that is going to be Polara. We did get wind of Polara getting a buff. We didn't know when it was going to happen, but here we go. We do have Polara coming up here. She is going to be from the Sacred Order, and she is going to be the ultimate prize from completing hard faction wars. Let's check out her kit. Actually, let's check out what Plarium has to say about this buff first. Here we go. So Polara Fireheart, feel the power of ice and fire with this rebalance. Polara is receiving a substantial upgrade, starting with improved damage multipliers. We've reinforced the identity of her main form as a powerful damage dealer burning through her enemies. Her alternate form also receives several meaningful improvements, such as block buff debuffs, extended freeze duration, and an upgraded A1 that provides greater value to the entire team. But that's not all. Polara's revised passive will add even more to her fiery character. Very excited to see this because Polara, you know, was definitely not worth the effort from what I've been hearing from everyone that has obtained her. All right, so let's take a quick look at her brand new kit here. So let's talk about the first form, her base form. So her A1 previously was a single target hit. Place an extra hit if the target is under any debuffs, has a 25% chance of granting an extra turn. She just has 1 book for 20% damage. So it's going to get upgraded to still single target, single hit. Places an extra hit if the target is under any buffs or debuffs. So that's just going to make it a lot more consistent for her to get the extra hit. She also has a 25% chance of getting that extra turn. Still there. Damage multipliers increased. So it'll be interesting to see how hard it actually hits. But yeah, she's basically almost guaranteed, almost always, a double hit and a 25% chance of getting extra turn. So that's pretty cool. Let's check out her A2 here. So previously it's a single hit, single target, triple hit, sorry. Ignore 25% of the target's defense. That's pretty good. Each hit will ignore 50% of the target's defense if the target is under HP burn or freeze. So there's an update here. So she still ignores 50% of the target's defense if the target is under HP burn, debuff, or freeze. But now she will also ignore 100% of the target's defense instead if the target is under both. Okay, it's a little bit difficult to land HP burn and freeze, especially in arena. So getting this 100% ignore defense will be pretty difficult. But in PvE content, I mean, she's just going to absolutely demolish stuff. Each hit will destroy target's defense and resistance by 3%, stacks up to 30%. That's still there. And then the HP burn also places HP burn on all enemies for 2 turns. This debuff cannot be resisted. It's still there. And damage multiplier increased on her A2. Great. Let's check out the A3 here. So A3 is going to get upgraded. It's still an AoE attack. Before attacking, instantly activates any HP burns on all enemies. So it's an HP burn activator. Then places another HP burn on all enemies for 1 turn. This debuff cannot be resisted. So you get the HP burn activation. Then you got the hit. This hit deals single target damage to each target individually. Rather than AoE damage, will ignore shield, block damage, and unkillable. Places a block revive on targets that are killed while under HP burn or a freeze. Okay, so and then she places HP burn with this ability. So that's a pretty big deal because previously she did not place HP burn with this ability. So am I reading this right, or is she placing the HP burn only if she activates any HP burns? I'm not 100% sure of that, because otherwise it means that she's placing HP burn, attacking, and then any champion that has the HP burn applied and dies from this AoE attack gets block revived. That seems very, very strong. So she potentially has an AoE block revive if she lands all the HP burns, and the HP burns are irresistible. This seems very strong. And the ability also ignores shield, block damage, and unkillable. Also grants an extra turn if she kills an enemy. This ability is on a 3-turn cooldown when fully booked, and the damage multipliers are increased. I mean, this is a pretty substantial buff. I'm not 100% sure if I'm reading it correctly. Let me know in the comments below if you guys think it differently. But the way I'm reading it is that before attacking, she activates the HP burns, then places another HP burn on all enemies. So if they didn't have HP burn initially, she activates nothing, and then she places HP burn. Like, that's kind of how I'm reading it right now. Or is the placing the HP burn conditional on her activating HP burn? I'm not sure. I think she does place the HP burn, and then she attacks. She ignores shields, block damage, unkillable, and then anybody she kills under the HP burn gets block revived, and she gets an extra turn, and the damage multipliers increased. This looks insane. This looks like an insane ability. It's a 3-turn ability also. It looks insane. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments below if I'm reading this wrong. Lastly, her passive also gets a little bit of a bump here. This champion deals 50% more damage against enemies under HP burn or freeze. That's a bump from 25%, and receives 50% less damage from enemies under HP burn. Now that's a new thing. So now she has some extra damage reduction, and her damage is still going to increase 100% against both HP burn and freeze. This champion ignores the damage reduction granted by freeze. This champion is immune to freeze and HP burns. That's amazing, guys. That is amazing. And frankly, that makes a lot of sense, like just for her kit. This does feel like a pretty substantial rework on her base form. I mean, this is her damage dealing form. It's, she doesn't get protected from lockouts and stuff like that. So you can still lock out her damage dealing form. And then what? Let's check out her alt form. Let's see how good it is after the reworks. So here is her alternate form, and her A1 now places a 60% increased defense on a random ally and this champion for 2 turns. If the randomly selected ally is already under increased defense, place it on another one. Heals this champion and all allies under increased defense. The value of the heal is proportionate to this champion's defense. So previously she was placing ally protection, and then the heal. I mean, that's fine. Increased defense versus ally protection. Increased defense could give you more damage for like a defense-based damage dealer and all that. But I think ally protection will offer more damage reduction or damage prevention. So this feels like a kind of a lateral buff or a lateral change. Let's check out the A2 here. So the A2 places block debuffs and strengthen on all allies. We'll also place the 100% ensnare debuff. So ensnare, if you guys don't know, basically just shuts down any kind of turn meter boosting effects. So 100% ensnare means 100% of the turn meter boost that the enemy gets, they don't get any benefits from. And also a block buff debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. These debuffs cannot be resisted by enemies under HP burn or freeze. And this is on a 3-turn cooldown. So she's placing block debuffs strengthen on your team, and then she's placing ensnare block buffs on the enemy on a 3-turn cooldown. There's quite a bit going on here. I mean, it's pretty good value for a 3-turn ability. And the irresistible part, if they're under HP burn or freeze, is a nice touch. Lastly, her A3 here, Ice Blade Tempest. Small change, attacks all enemies before attacking, places one intercept stack on all allies. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. Places a freeze debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. So the 1-turn duration goes up to 2-turn duration. This debuff cannot be resisted. It is an attack, so I mean, overall, the A3 is still an okay ability. Irresistible freeze with the full intercept stack on all allies, and it's an AoE attack. Also, it's not bad, but it's not busted by any means. Let's check out her passive. Maybe there's something here. So passive effect: allies under freeze receive 9% less damage. That's pretty huge. Here's the new update. Whenever this champion is attacked, places HP burn debuff on the attacker for 2 turns. This debuff cannot be resisted. So similar kind of thing to like Pelops or like Drexar. Remove any freeze debuff from each ally before the start of their turn. That's pretty nice. That's relevant because if your allies are frozen, they take 90% less damage, but they don't suffer any kind of negatives from being frozen because the freeze gets removed before they make their move. So if your team gets frozen, then you have a lot of benefits. Basically, that's what this passive is for. And the active effect, it looks like it remains the same. Once per round, revive each ally, including this champion, with 100% HP. Places a freeze debuff on the revived ally for 1 turn. This debuff cannot be resisted or blocked. Now, this change here, remove any freeze debuff from each ally before the start of their turn, is actually a really, really big one because it synergizes really well with their active effect. Because now no longer do they lose a turn due to freeze, because their passive will relieve them of the freeze, but offer them the benefit of being frozen. So pretty strong ability here just for overall support. Her skills, a little bit of an update, but not as crazy as an update to her base form. She does have the ability to go land HP burn. She does have the ability to land her own freezes. It's really nice to have irresistible, effects, obviously. But I don't think this side of her becomes that insane. Like, it's just the support side. But her base form definitely got a huge rework. Very interesting to see how this champion will work. I think she's a lot better. The ability to go through unkillable is very, very nice. And yeah, just solid upgrades to her base form here. Yeah, like I said, the alternate form, I'm a little bit skeptical about how strong this will be, but her passive rework got really, really strong. But I was expecting a little bit more from her kit. Maybe the A3 could have been a little bit stronger, but we'll have to check out the playtest and see how well she performs. Now, that's going to be it for the video, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about these new balance changes to Searsha, Greggor, and Polara. I think all of them received some really, really solid buffs and reworks. I think Searsha definitely will have to come out of the vault and get some playtime. Her kit rework, absolutely amazing. Again, not busted amazing, but it definitely makes her go from absolutely useless to actually a very good champion. Especially if you're early on, it's going to be really, really good. She's not an early on champion, but if you spend a lot of money in this game right away, she's going to offer you quite a bit in her overall kit, just so you guys can get through a lot of content. She covers all these important debuffs, and speed in all battles is very nice. Greggor, I think his overall kit, not the craziest buffs, but just solid, just makes it a little bit more consistent, makes him a little bit more usable. And Polara, her base form, insane buffs, while her alt form got okay buffs, but nothing too groundbreaking, I think, on this side, other than her passive. I think the passive got reworked very, very nicely. We'll see how impactful that's going to be. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for the video. Let me know in the comments below which one you like the best, which one actually gives you guys any immediate impact. I know these are some pretty exclusive champions, I would say. Searsha only acquired through player and play points, basically spending in the game or time in the game, grinding player and play points. Polara, very, very difficult to get. You can't pull it from a shard. It has to be done through hard faction wars. And Greggor here, which is a faction unity champion. So very likely nobody has these champions. Personally speaking, I don't have any of these champions. But these buffs are nice. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you guys think about these buffs. If you guys have any of these champions, does this affect you guys? Appreciate your time. Thanks for watching until the end, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.